Welcome everyone to another episode of Profit's Fintech Frontier, our new interview series where we speak with leaders and innovators who are disrupting and transforming financial services. My name is Saurabh Wahi. I'm a partner at Profit's Digital Discipline, and I co-lead our financial services practice. And Profit, for those who aren't as familiar, is a digitally powered, creatively inspired growth and transformation consultancy. I'm super excited to have our guest today. Welcome our guest, Vincent Bahk. He's the head of digital marketing and brand at FIS, an incredibly large fintech that supports and services a very broad range of commercial, banking, corporate, and capital market clients. Welcome, Vincent. Would you like to introduce yourself and share a bit more about FIS?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here. So I'm going to start actually a little bit of a why of myself, right? So my entire career, I've been chasing after this convergence of customer needs, technology as enabler, which unlocks business value. Mm-hmm. So in this quest, right, I've jumped to fintech, right? Because fintech right now has become that perfect intersection of enabling innovation across those dimensions, customers, tech, and business. And I'll get into more of that as we talk. And honestly, when you're a fintech, right, when you want to concentrate on that intersection, coupled with my desire to be at the center of it, to create the largest impact, to talk about the biggest challenges and the most complex challenges, I landed at FIS. So FIS is one of the largest, if debatably, if not the largest fintech or financial technology provider out there in the world. Sure. And I lead brand digital marketing experiences for them. So thanks for being here. I actually am really excited to start this session. It'd be great.
Yeah. I realize FIS has a very broad portfolio of solutions, and you serve a very broad range of customers across payments, across banking and investing, corporates, et cetera. So as you take a step back and you look at this, this landscape, where have you seen the greatest amount of innovation and disruption begin to happen? Across which sectors, across the entire span that FIS serves, have you seen the greatest sort of sparks of innovation and disruption take place?
So that's a very great question, because there's tons of innovation and the market is moving so quickly these days, right? The thing I would say is there isn't a specific sector that is out innovating the other right now. Mm-hmm. What actually is happening is that each of the sectors are moving quickly, innovating to actually converge all three together, right? So what do I mean by that? It's trading platforms, consumer-facing trading platforms like a Wealthfront. What are they doing? They're offering banking services. Mm-hmm. Walgreens, Walmart, Google. Merchants, payments, usually customers, what are they doing? Offering banking services, right? What are banks doing? Banks are developing banking services with the idea that they can act as kind of products or SKUs, mm-hmm. like a merchant, right? Like a store for customers to buy off the shelf at another provider, not at the bank, right? So, and then you take things and fads like buy now, pay later, right? It's hitting the headlines everywhere. But really what is that? That's taking banking services and putting it at the time of the customer need, right? In the context of a payment flow. So it's that convergence that we're seeing, right? That is going through, that's the heart of the innovation, right? How do you get to the customer need, converge sectors, can use technologies to be the enabler, mm-hmm. right? And it's interesting, given our position, right? FIS, we're at the center of this innovation, yeah. right? It's financial technology for good and for worse, right? It's a complex web of regulation, security, across industries, across geographies, across everything. So with our breadth and scale, we've become enablers, right? Not only because we can offer all these components and software and products mm-hmm. That integrate, but the way that our systems are actually open, API, componentized, composability, whichever way that you want to describe it, right? It's all kind of opening up at a rapid scale these days, right? And a rapid pace. And we're here to actually work with our clients. We actually partner a lot with our clients to help steer through that innovation cycle, to help avoid that disruption, or actually to help promote that convergence so they can actually help their customers.
Yeah. So as you think about this rapid sort of evolution of the landscape, as you think about many of your clients who are, both on the disruptor side and the disrupted side, how is FIS beginning to evolve, especially around the larger, more legacy players in the business? How are you, perhaps supporting and helping them kind of two steps ahead, think not just about the near here and now and adapting, but also kind of making the market and reinventing in the future, perhaps a couple of horizons?
Absolutely. Yeah. So the interesting thing is being embedded into this industry, right? We saw the progression, right? We did see the progression, and a lot of products and services started to move towards this. Now, did we see it accelerate at such a rapid pace? No. But the good news, we were at least prepared. As I said, it's a great time to be in financial technology, but it's also a very scary time, right? If you're not prepared for it. There's an underlying worry that in the pursuit of innovation, you will not get it right. Right? And it's technology, right? So there's this huge worry that is weighing on our clients' shoulders. If you really also think about it, for the last 100 years of financial services, it was all about risk mitigation. I mean, Chase's own strategy, Jamie Dimon gets on stage and says, my strategy is to create a moat.
Right.
Not to create a better castle, right? Not to improve. It's the risk mitigation of protect what I've got, right? But things have changed. Right. Even Chase's, you start to see their strategy. They're forced to change. Right. And the anxiety of getting it right comes with it. So where we've come in, right, FIS, it's a long-standing company, great partnerships, great relationships of our clients. And I think even our new clients these days are starting to understand what a true partnership within the technology space looks like. And what does that mean? It means that we meet the demands of performance. You have to be stable. You have to be resilient. You actually have to have scale to be effective, be agile, adaptive, flexible, open, all these kind of things that we throw out in technology. But it's that innovation that is time tested, de-risked for you, right? Because it has all the regulatory considerations. It has security, it has compliance already built in. Right? And that's where we start to harness the power of our heritage and of our expertise and help guide our clients to get it right? Because failure, unfortunately, is not an option. You can stumble, but you can't fail, right? Yeah. And in all honesty, that's kind of the best time that we're in today, right? We call it essential innovation, or we have to be essential to the success of innovation. Right. And that's our role, right? And that's our role at FIS to kind of say that we know how to navigate through the compliance world, through the securities world, through the regulation world. Our software is built in to do that. It isn't just software to handle the transactions. We do it in real time. Like, for instance, we have real-time payments now, but we do it in a secure, regulatory, cross-border world, right? Which is a difference between actually just figuring out how to do real-time payments, right? And that's the difference that we're actually seeing. And that's what we mean by it's essential innovation, where it becomes essential to success. Partnering with our clients, having our clients actually helping them navigate that, that's what they're asking for, because it's to actually fight that anxiety, right? And as I said, it's a great time. But there's this anxiousness, and we got to get through this, right? And be having the expertise and having essentially the success behind you. Yeah, we'll get you through that.
So, Vincent, my last question. I'd really love to get your take on perhaps peeking a bit into the future. How do you see, call it 5-7 years out, some of the most important businesses that you're in? How do you see the landscape evolving, and how do you see, more importantly, perhaps your clients' needs evolving in those spaces? Let's take payments, for example. How do you think that space is evolving? call it 5-7 years out, and how much your clients think about payments in the future differently?
That's an excellent question, right? So beyond convergence, so let's assume that we get kind of leapfrog and do this. But it's, and this might sound cliche, which is the impact of advancements like AI and automation and blockchain still have yet to be comprehended, right? Let's kind of take the case of AI and automation. Implementing it and putting those implementing in place is that decisions, right? Decisions when it comes to investing, savings, paying, will all be made by a rules-based engine and systems versus your own human decision, right? There are industries that have benefited from this, operational optimization, all of that. But if you were to explain this to the regular individual, the consumers, the general consumer out there, and ask the opinion of 100 people, I'm sure they would be met with high suspicion and skepticism and almost be a little bit afraid of the future, right? So if you think about, and these are the topics that were kind of, again, to the forefront of innovation, try to be, so things like intelligence, things like data, along with the systems and integrations are the new frontier that we are eagerly preparing for. And that's where I start to see things like when you couple automation with AI, you start to think, okay, how do I put my finances on autopilot?
Right.
That's scary. Right. And that all of a sudden, we get into bigger topics, right? We get into things like if in context of financial inclusion, right? We get into bigger topics of, things that actually start to talk about equitable, right? Finances and all these things, right? And it becomes now this convergence of culture and technology, right? And all of these things that are much bigger than in the sphere of things, which is, again, exciting, but it is definitely topics that we need to weigh in and really innovate towards the future on.
Yeah. It's you're right. It is uncertain and therefore perhaps a bit scary for the industry. But from a customer standpoint, just so incredibly empowering, right? This idea of being able to put your finances on autopilot. It's been, fluency in financial education has been relatively low, especially in North America, and this could hold a ton of power, tremendous power in being able to bridge that gap, allowing people to actually realize a far more effective, efficient, more stable way of thinking about their finances with support from exactly the technologies you talked about, AI and automation and some of the other innovations.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. The accessibility factor of financial services is something that we grapple with. The stat out there, right? I'm sure there's a data fact out there that talks about there are more smartphones out there than bank accounts, right? So therein lies the challenge. It's a technology challenge, right? To say, okay, how do we place the financial or banking, doesn't necessarily have bank accounts, but banking functionality to be accessible to all those who have smartphones, right? It starts to converge, right? Again, that convergence between customer, technology, and business, right, starts to play out. And that's why I think financial technology starts to play a big role within all of that and how to unlock that value.